Hey guys, what's up? This is Goremizer, and welcome to Smite Strats episode 2. In today's episode, we're going to be covering the solo lane, which is this lane right over here. One of the first things to show about the solo lane is the tower placement. Why is this lane the solo lane? The reason this lane is the solo lane is because, as you see, from the base up to the towers is sort of the same length on each one. It's shorter in mid, but with the solo lane, the length between the two towers here is shorter than it is over in the duo lane. And so the reason this is the solo lane is because of that distance between the two towers right there. But you'll notice that because these two towers are closer, the space between the first tower and the back tower are farther apart. So if you lose your tower first, it's typically a bad sign because that means they have way more clout. Let's say this tower is gone. Then this person now has access to this much of your lane without any contest, except maybe this portion of the jungle. So you definitely don't want to be the first one to lose your tower. So you might be wondering, why is it called the solo lane? That is because this lane right over here holds one person on each team. They'll have one player and one player from each team over here, as well as the jungler every now and then coming in for ganks, but that will be covered in the jungle section. What I'd like to cover is, what exactly do you do in the solo lane? Well, there's a variety of gods you can play in the solo lane. There's all sorts of people that are good counters to others as well. And so it is a very prominent pick. If you choose somebody who's physical and they choose somebody who's physical, then your wave clear might have some faults. Some physical gods clear way better than others, and some mages clear better than others. And so this is a very pick-heavy lane. However, a lot of the lane is spent farming. But first I'm going to start out with what you should do if you are the red team solo laner, so you'd be coming from the chaos side like this. You'll want to come out of the base and then meet with your jungler here at the speed buff. You'll take that, give it to the jungler, go over, grab your blue, and then go to lane and begin farming. Now if you're on the blue side of the map, what you're going to do is you're going to want to come up to the mid camps with your mid player. You'll take those, come by. If your jungler's nice, I'm not sure if they can do this readily at the beginning of play, but they can share experience through this camp through the wall, and you might hit level 2 before you get to the blue buff. Then you're going to take your blue buff, go to lane. You will probably be slightly behind this lane, so they might push up ahead of you. If that's the case, you can just fall under tower, clear the wave, and start farming. Now, one of the biggest things about the solo lane is that you do spend a lot of time 1v1 in this lane. You don't travel too much except to get your blue buffs. And so, as you could imagine, it is one of the easier lanes, but at the same time there's some really tough decision making. As in, if their lane, let's say he runs off into the jungle, you have two options. If you have a ward placed here, 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 or up here, then you know where they're going. And so my recommendation would be, if they are going up towards this part of their jungle, and you have this tower up and this tower up, you need to push. Push through your lane, get as much experience, try to out-farm them, and it will definitely help you in lane. Then you can push this tower a little bit while they're gone. If you see them come up into their blue buff, and you are willing to risk something, you can go and try to steal the blue buff out from under their noses, or if they are taking it, then you can also try to steal it from them. You do need to be cautious doing this, because if you get caught out, there will typically be two people there, and you might die. If you see them walking this way towards the mid lane, my recommendation is, if you are not pushed up, so if the creeps are meeting in the middle right here, the minions, then you should follow up and try to get there as quick as possible, because it is more than likely that they're trying to get to your mid laner and get a kill. If they start walking this way and they are pushed up, then you need to clear your wave and then immediately try to get over there as fast as possible. However, if they leave and you're pushed up, that is your choice. You can either go ahead and run and try to catch them, you can follow them in the jungle, or you can try to take the tower. It is very game-based. You have to know where everyone is on your team, what's the situation, and so that's one of the things about the solo lane that makes it challenging, is that while a lot of the time you are farming, you will be spending a lot of time watching the map, hoping to not get caught out by somebody else's tricks. I recommend, if you've seen this one and the video is out, go watch the jungler section, because I will be covering the threats of a jungler in the solo lane, because the jungler is someone who roams, I'll just say that, and they can very often come through and attack you from the jungle. Before we're done with the solo lane though, I'm going to go ahead and tell you proper ward placement. So, you've already run through part of the jungle, and I can go ahead and tell you that this little section right here is your side of the jungle. I wouldn't recommend going in there unless you're friends with the jungler and he says, hey, it's okay to come take some of my camps, but relatively safe if you're thinking from here. However, this side of the jungle is going to be where their jungler will roam. And so if you are going to have wards, I recommend you place one either here, 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 and then at the very beginning of the game, if you place one around this area, you can get vision on the people who are in the orange buff and when they go to get their blue buff. However, these are the 4 main spots. Actually, these are the 2 main spots that you're going to be wanting to put your wards. But if you find that their jungler comes from here more often, or from here, depending on how well their lane is clearing, you might want to place a defensive ward down here, just to catch him in case he's coming behind you. But as for that, that's the solo lane in a nutshell. You can choose any god. However, some are definitely way better than others. Not even that, some clear better and some can push better. And so it's up to you to decide which god you prefer. But as it is, that is all there really is to say about the solo lane. There's definitely more mechanics than I can just say. There's a lot of things that are god-based, so be careful based on who you're playing and who you're against. Always be aware that this game is ever-changing even though it's the same map. And take care, guys. I'll see you next episode.